Hello and welcome back to the Metropole Grid. My name is Andre.
And I'm Izzy.
And thanks so much for tuning in. We have round 9 of Canadian Nationals. This is the first round of day 2. We had 10 rounds of Swiss, single-sided Swiss, and it was going pretty late on Saturday. So we decided to have rounds 9 and round 10. Some pretty important rounds on the first thing on the Sunday morning. And Izzy, thanks so much for joining me again. I think a big reason also I'm excited to have you here is that's you on the right, huh?
Yeah, it is. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Izzy, she, they, as you can read off my hello, my name is badge. I'm a member of Queering the Message and one of the hosts of the Queering the Message podcast. I've been playing the game seriously competitively about a year now and have been playing overall about a year and a half.
Yeah, we've been having you at some local events. Super stoked that y'all came up to Canadian Nationals. We had a whole bunch of folks from America and all over Canada as well, which was an awesome event. Now, this game, we are now recording commentary about a month away, so I don't know if you're going to fully remember what happened in this game, but super stoked to go through these lines that you brought today alongside yourself. Now, quickly on the left, that's Eric, a local player from Montreal, and he's playing Azmari EdTech. This is not the first time, it's not the last time we're going to see Azmari on this channel in CanNats, and its ability, I would argue it's not as nuanced as you might think it is. You name a type of card, and the Corp gains 2 credits if you play a card of that type. Now, that's why that card on the front of the table, that's a lucky find, an old event that's rotated out many, many years ago. Just as a reminder of what was last called. What do you think the Corp should do when they play Azmari? You think they should just sit on an event all game?
I think 95% of the time that is the right choice. I think there's a couple of niche reasons to choose a different type to call all game, and there are a couple of niche reasons to switch what you call. But as soon as you switch what you call in the middle of the game, the runner is just able to dump all of their events out of hand that turn.
Yeah, we'll see if that comes up, but that's one of the big things. As soon as you switch, the floodgates open, you can just dump the events that you've been hoarding, because the big way to play around that is to play multiple events in the same turn. And it looks like we're off. You can see a bit of Eric's hand here. He's the only person at this event playing this really interesting archetype that involves some cards from the old standard card pool that a lot of people don't know the text of. Things like Threat Level Alpha. You're going to see how this works together, but just install into a remote server, play an event, and off to you. How do you see this board state? How do you play Hoshiko? Can you tell us a bit about your deck you brought to this event?
Yeah, I brought a pretty regular Hoshiko to this list. The only really interesting thing that I'm doing is using Takobi to sort of offset the breaker suite and meet some nice breakpoints. One of the really key things I'm sitting down here thinking is there's a couple different archetypes of Azmari, and how I manage my econ through them really makes a huge difference. And so, like, very quickly off the bat, I'm trying to figure out if I'm playing into a Glacier list, or if I'm playing into a Crypto Crash list, or if I'm playing into something else.
Yeah, this is definitely something else. Starting there with an Authenticator, that is a card that is in the standard card pool. Pretty rough when you end up Raindrops Cut Stoning into it, as much as you gave 2 credits to the Corp. This ice gives your opponent a choice. The choice is, it's okay. You know, getting a tag is a bit difficult, but they're going to get their money back and end the run if you don't. But he rezzed there. Does that make you think there's something in hand?
I think it's possible. I think it's also just a free res that you're perfectly happy to take there.
And it looks like, again, I think you're going to do the thing a lot of players do, where it's a lot of events in a turn. DreamNet turn 1, mind you, since then the card's been banned, but we're checking their mode server, expecting maybe a Spin Doctor, but a daily business show. A bit expensive right now. Again, the DreamNet trigger, that is, I think, the most commonly missed trigger across the entire event, and it's relatively easy to repair. So that's only going to be a card now, a card and credit as soon as Hoshiko flips. DBS, powerful card. I would be confused to see in this list, so I definitely think we're in the it's something different camp. You need to play more events this turn, huh? Oh, there you go, the price. Rip forward, there's the Takobi. DJ Fenris, a 1-of in the deck, some Ice Destruction, and a Fractor here. Any interesting choices? I feel like a couple of these require a bit of setup. One of them might be the obvious answer, as much as we don't see any barriers. Is this a hard choice, seeing 2 of your 1-ofs in the deck?
It's hard. DJ is also the only recursion in the list.
Right.
So if I let that go, everything else is staying in there.
Now, DJ Fenris lets you get the identity of another Gmod out of faction. Steve Cambridge is 95% what happens here, which lets you get some HQ pressure and some recursion. And now you know the Cleaver is going to be useful. You're expecting at a minimum pings in the deck, NBN barriers. You don't see that much else outside of that, unless there's something I'm forgetting. But those are kind of interesting to see 2 of your uniques. So looks like it's just Cleaver. Price versus Gachapon. We've seen way more Gachapon today so far. Are you liking the price? I'm kind of hot on the price.
I like the price a lot, especially once you're running the Strike Fund package. I think Strike Fund was a card that a lot of people initially underrated quite significantly, and being able to mill it off the top or throw it away to moshing gives you so much gas. And I think like between the price and Gachapon, they're very similar, and I think there's a lot of good reasons to play both. It's very much like, do you value that deck thinning from Gachapon? Or like, how many targets do you have for Gachapon versus the price? The price, of course, being much more flexible in what it installs.
Now, install double events in a remote server, you'd be surprised for that to be anything else besides NGO front. Now, with 2 open servers with DreamNet and Hoshiko Digital, that's a bit of a liability here. It's like you get so much value from running R&D, or even just bouncing off the daily business show is a better click than the basic actions provide you. So understanding how to get good value here, I don't think you have a huge incentive to force the NGO to be popped. I don't know if anyone's scored out a cheeky Bologna like this at the event, but sometimes you see it. So sometimes there's some respect put into action. Click one. Again, we're going to see that multiple event stacking. Lovely Canadian World Bravado. Straight to Authenticator. We're taking a tag here, huh?
It's not R+.
It's not R+, exactly. That's this card, it's in R+, it makes it a bit less of a decision, but we're going to go through. We're going to be making 7 credits, an 8th credit off the DreamNet, and a card draw. I guess you paid 3 for the Bravado, but this axis here, we've gone through, again, daily business show. HQ pressure sometimes gets a bit less powerful when, they're not drawing agendas unless they want to, and biased reporting.
Here's a card I had to read.
Yeah, right? It's another card that's not very common. It's an econ option card that scales better into the mid to late game, but it's another card that gives your opponent a choice. A lot of card players kind of veer away from the cards that allow your opponent to, have some decision in it. I don't think you see very interesting decisions into that card, but this deck cares about money more than the money that it looks like it can deliver off some of the more staple economy options. So we'll see how that comes into play. There's the NGO front. Love it. Raindrops. There's no ice there. You just play this as like an Anarch Dirty Laundry and Anarch Bravado. Just, 2 credits.
And important to note on the Bravado run on HQ too is that it's the only iced server.
Oh yeah, you have to, huh?
If I'm going to play that Bravado, and I did want to play several events that turn because I'm trying to get to the gamble that's in hand, it's the only way to go.
Yeah, I think this might be a 3 or 4 event turn. You don't often see it. There you go. Sure gamble. Dogs playing poker. Where did this one come from?
I would have to go check.
Yeah, no, that one's really fun. And Carmen coming down for 3 credits. Not too bad.
Got it from the trade table at Worlds last year.
Oh, super cool. So Carmen might be the most common killer across the entire day. Oh, you saw that Eric draws 2 Bolognas. So I like here how he's thinking about it, even though obviously it's not an option. I do think it's super valuable to make your opponent confuse them a bit. You got to zig when they think you're going to zag. And you see in hand, again, this is the basis of the deck where it has some really interesting inclusions, is he has 2 copies of a Reaper function, because this is a combo kill deck. It's going to involve ways to give tags. It's going to involve end of the line, doing a bit of chip damage. I don't know how soon. We're going to see how long it takes you maybe to suss this out, if you do at all, to see how common or how important it is to hold things like Steel Skin Scarring in your hand, which is probably the one big thing that keeps this any sort of kill combo like this in check.
I think this is the turn where I see the threat level alpha in hand, or one of the turns after that, and that's where I really understand what the game is.
Yeah, it's a card that gives a tag kind of like Public Trail, but doesn't require successful run. So even if the runner sits back, you can give a single tag almost guaranteed, which can be quite scary at this combo. Now, card on the remote server, not sure what we're expecting here. We haven't seen Rashida yet. I don't think we have any idea what the agenda suite is. So non-advanced agenda, only AR enhanced security. Are you really worried about, unless it's like seamless into Crypto Crash, which I think there is some chance we're worried about that. What are you thinking? What's on the table here?
And the main thing I'm worried about is Rashida.
Yeah.
Everything else is like less good.
Ooh, Stargate. Interesting alt art. This alt art is very, very pretty. And this lets you look at the top 3. Very importantly here, this does give you DreamNet, but it doesn't give you an access. And there you see threat level alpha. An additional cost, it's a double, 2 clicks, and trace 1, a very low trace, to give the runner 1 tag, even if they haven't run. It doesn't require successful runs. It doesn't require any sort of interaction. So you're going to pull that one in for a read. I've never played against this card. It's not a very common card. What are you expecting here? It's like sometimes hard not to trash the Spin Doctor, but are you more worried about the threat level here?
When I see weird things with tags that look like combo enablers,
Just get rid
It's
of
just
them.
nice to let them go.
Yeah.
And the Spin Doctor ends up sitting on top if I want to run back and trash it.
That's always one of the things. As soon as your opponent brings in a card that you're like, oh, you clearly brought this for some reason, I don't understand the reason, I'm going to destroy it on site so I don't have to worry about it, is unfortunately how it happens. Are you floating a tag here?
Looks like.
Oh, I wonder if you didn't clear the Authenticator tag. Let's see if that comes into play here again. DreamNet can be trash. I'm not sure if either player maybe realizes that. Did you realize your tag? Oh, there you go. Okay. So we did float that for 1 turn. So Spin Dock coming off the top there. That was a no event
Yeah,
turn.
I remember that now. I played the sure gamble and I was going to clear the tag and I did something different, I think, that last click. And then I realized it after I passed the turn. I was like,
Yeah.
I just have to sit here and hope that they don't notice.
Be cool, be cool, be cool. That's a really big thing here with Stargate, right? Like Stargate, you look at 3 every turn, and Daily Business Show, from my understanding, is not optional. So that means you actually see 3 new cards if you Stargate back right immediately. Now we're assuming that's a Spin Doctor on the table in the remote server. You have to deal with that first, but here's the bias reporting. It is going to call program. So at a minimum, that's going to be a sure gamble, or a hedge fund, excuse me. That'll be 4 credits. Now you can make that less and actually gain money by trashing one of your programs, but I don't think there's a board state. This is not a board state where you want to do that.
Yeah, just let them have a gamble.
Yeah, it seems fine. So Spin Doctor on the table. Again, the thing in the remote server didn't budge, so probably not a Rashida there. Maybe setting up for a Sansan. Only on 6
Yeah, it could be a
credits.
Spin Doctor, but like I'm happy enough to let them like pop a Spin Doctor early after I've been Stargating for a bit. Like the Stargate is as much about ice disruption at this point as it is about anything else. Like I just don't want them to draw ice. If they don't draw ice, I don't have to pay to break it.
Yeah, so he's resing the Spin Doctor. Love that he gets a trigger here, reminding that, Daily Business Show works first time a turn. That includes the runner's turn, so the Spin Doctor is a bit more powerful than it looks. And we're going to see what options we have to shuffle back. NGO front is economy along with that biased reporting. Otherwise, though, we do have that Threat of Alpha. We'll see if that's an important card to put back into the deck, or whether we just want a bit more economy. But no ice so far. I think he has a Hydra in hand, we saw, which is the most expensive Sentry in NBN. It's going to cost you 7 with your Carmen.
Yeah. Hydra was one where I had to call a judge at one point in the day to remember the exact subroutines and strength on it, because that's one you don't see as often as you might otherwise, but you really don't want to remember what it does by face checking it.
Yeah. No, we saw a lot of that across Azmari throughout the day. And speaking of some big ice, Bran off the top into the Hydra, into Authenticator. 3 ice choices. Not what you want to see when you're trying to Stargate down centrals. I think Bran is probably the one that it's harder to break, as much as you do have your Carmen, you do have your Cleaver. I don't think you want to pay the 8 for Bran. Hydra for 7's a bit cheaper. Mind you, that is the Altarts from Worlds last year. Very, very intimidating piece of ice.
It's going to be the Hydra.
So this is where
Bran's sort of interesting because the worst case on Bran is you click through it.
No, that's
as
true.
long as you're planning about it. So as soon as I know that Bran is in, like, I can be a little bit less scared of it.
So it looks like we did trash the Hydra. Brand's on top, followed by Authenticator. So we do know with the Daily Business Show that Eric is only going to draw 1 of those, but he still definitely has an issue here. He needs to get that Brand up. Hippo, mind you, is the big threat. Once you get a Hippo down, that 1 ice on, on R&D, you're going to deal with it once and then it's gone. And the events have slowed down here. So you did good. I think you played like 5 events in 2 turns, where it's kind of where you want to be. And maybe we're going to like fill up the hand again to get back to that sort of spot. So 19 to 6 credits. It doesn't look like you have a single ounce of economy in hand, which is kind of difficult here. Very importantly, again, Stargate doesn't access cards, so Hoshiko will remain on the side. You still get the DreamNet, but you're not going to flip. And getting the flip here is a card and a credit, so just running archives is, pretty good. Moshing. That is some economy. Steel skin. Love to see it. So I take it, mind you, throwing out a buzzsaw on another Stargate with the sort of price package. You got steel skin, so it's just another good reason to be running the moshing, right?
Yeah, and it's funny. After intercons with the Hoshiko that won that, like, goodness, I'm forgetting the name of the console that you pitch
Patchwork.
cards for to me. Patchwork. With Patchwork feels like such a better moshing.
Yeah, right?
Having to have 3 cards I want to trash at the same time to moshing is so hard.
Yeah, I kind of live in that mindset of like, just pretend they're on the bottom of your deck, be cool, and just dig deeper. So at least here, like, you got a totally fresh hand. You start see there's 2 or 3 economy cards in there. I believe that's a Mystic Miami, a Sure Gamble, and there you go, a price as well, which very importantly to understand this discard at end of turn to hand size does not trigger anything like Steel Skin. It's not a trash.
Yeah.
Draw 2.
And here it's like I can let the Azmari trigger happen because from 19 to 21 credits is not a major breakpoint difference.
Now again, threat level alpha does have the credits here. So if it's threat level alpha, if in the remote server, and it's too late now because we did mandatory draw, but if that is the Reaper function, threat level alpha and to end of the line, mind you, 4 or 5 influence, so there can't be too many in this list. You can flatline here out of just about any board state, and I think we do have the end of line in hand, and 2 Reapers as well. So not sure with the remote server here, but if one of those Reapers survives on the table for 1 turn and he draws a threat level alpha, that is game. As long as you don't have a Steel Skin and you hit it off the first 2 net damage. So we're expecting the brand to hit R&D. Again, that's a big chunky piece of ice, kind of thing that you want to put between you and the runner and their Stargate. Thinking through the rest of the turn here again, he hasn't really built his board state. It's not very clear what he wants to do when it comes to scoring out or what exactly the game plan is. And I think threat level alpha scares you. This is a change. First Azmari change I think we've seen all Cannats going to resource here, and you just drew 3 cards. There's a chance that we haven't seen Liberated, we haven't seen any of the companions, that maybe you're expecting to catch something here, but this is where you can just dump all the events you just drew off the
I was pretty happy to have the gamble in hand when that switch happened for sure.
Yeah. I think there's a chance Eric saw like, oh, you discarded, a couple events there at the end of turn. So maybe you're playing around it and you did dump it, but Steel Skin as a start, not giving the corporation 2 credits on that feels really good. And then we have even more to follow that if we need to. So how much is your consideration to like, I don't want to run knowing the ice on R&D is big until I find a hippo?
I think you can see the hippo in my hand on the right there, and I'm trying to figure out how to get the hippo down and get through that Bran.
There you go. There's a strike fund, just 3 credits, not too bad. With the Mystic Miami, it is another hedge fund or Sure Gamble in the deck, not too bad. And you do have that synergy.
Yeah, sometimes just clicking for 3 is good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, sometimes the speeds of certain games. There's the Sure Gamble. So probably feeling pretty bad after you change a resource and there's 3 events in a single turn. But that's sometimes the problem with Azmari. Changing can be one of the worst things you do. Drawing up there in the hand
That's
again.
exactly it.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, he switches back and then I install the resources on my next turn.
Yeah. No, just hold event. It's boring, but it works. We're looking at 2 cards there. I think one's a your digital life. The other is a piece of ice. Not sure what it was. And still probably just digging up for that threat level alpha. Now, if there's another way to give tags like a public trail, you can pay 8 credits. That requires a successful run. I don't know whether the deck has SIU either, but we're starting to see, I think there's a ping off the top, and just getting the ping in front of the Brawn if you're expecting a hippo, which you didn't install this turn, that is one of the best things you can do for safety, is understanding that the outermost ice is the only ice that can be challenged. But ping, I think, goes on the remote server there. Still no idea what's in the remote server. I'd expect a Sand, but I think we would have seen it gone to action by now. 26 credits after hedge fund.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like, there's not a lot of things that you want to just leave in the remote like that. Like, it could be a Reaper function, but that would be sort of surprising at this point, I think, to double ice it.
There's the hippo for 2. So Stargate's going to come in. You understand if you res it's going to go down, you might have to just eat a Stargate for 1 turn here and then just get another piece of ice up front. That can be difficult with the Stargate going off, but we're going to res the Brawn. So it is, 8 credits for you? So maybe that's a fair trade, assuming you're going to get another piece of ice anyways, but forcing the runner to pay 8 multiple times, that's going to be destroyed. Getting the DreamNet trigger again. We're not digital. And off the top, Degree Mill, Digital Life, and a Bologna. So we know that this is a 5-3 deck. So I would be surprised to see other things now like that Crypto Crash. So probably not about the agendas. This is going to either be punitive. As soon as you see Degree Mill, not Re-Education, you know it's not going to be Neurospike.
And once I've seen threat level alpha, I'm mostly expecting the 6 agenda suite to be about a combo kill and not about a punitive kill.
That's a really big thing with Azmari. We haven't mentioned this. This is going to be a 44 card deck, so they can get away with playing 18 agenda points, and so you have to steal half the agendas in the deck if you don't mad dash. Now, this being agenda on top and agenda on third is so fortunate for the runner because you can trash the bottom one and then run back to go get the top one if you want to shuffle 2 cards away. And it's hard to shuffle 2 cards away on this board state. Those are all very good cards. Now we know Spin Doctor's not going to be coming up this turn. Down to 5 credits, it looks like. You're going to crack into it. Just make some change or pay 1 for Mystic, I reckon. Yeah, there you go. The catch and alter. Mystic is real great art, this one. And raindrops for value. I really like
I'm literally just installing the Mamie to shuffle it away to the degree mill.
Yeah, for sure. I really like how you play raindrops. Like, you know, you can imagine a lot of cases where if you get into ice, you'll get more value from it, but just like keeping yourself moving forward, keeping the tempo up, playing those events while I think the event playing is still possible. I think he did still stay on resource. So you're up to 3 points. Do you have Mad Dash in the list?
I do not in this one. It's a card that I really strongly consider in most Hoshiko lists, especially ones that are on Stargate.
Yeah, that stops you from needing to steal 2 points again. It could have been game there if we have a Mad Dash straight in hand. So it looks like there's a blown in the bin. A lot of work Eric has to do, and Ice came off the top there. Digital Life as well, but 22 credits. I think you don't have that many cards in hand. I think you're below 4 cards in hand. So threat level into end of line could do it here. He has the end of line. I think he just needs a threat level, but he can't draw for it because it is a double. So just drawing up, breaking R&D lock. Need something on R&D or the game could be over as soon as next turn. Just another good Stargate. Sweep archives, that's it. How are you feeling now? You feeling in an okay spot?
I'm feeling reasonable. I'd be happier if I'd had another card in hand, but it's tough there to try to keep the money up because I do need to have enough money to keep getting in on the next turn after the brand. Like that was a 10 credit play to get rid of the brand there.
Yeah.
9, I guess, after I get the refund from DreamNet.
Yeah, obviously still worth it in the long run, but yeah, right now, quite difficult. Again, Bologna, again, in archives, it's 5 credits, so that's some money up front for sure. And we're down on 7 here. Ice repaired, not only on R&D, but also on archives, so it could be less assured if you get the agenda in there. Bologna might survive until the next Spin Doctor comes up. We also did see attitude adjustments in the deck. I couldn't tell you offhand whether that works with archives or not. I think it might.
Oh, I would have to check.
Yeah, me too. Stargate. Full sending it with 7 credits. I think the worst case is Hydra, and you can deal with it.
Take some money.
It's a Serevnia. When you res this, you can give the runner 2 credits. Otherwise, some subroutines are going to fire. So it looks like he did pay you. Love to see that interaction here. So it has 3 subroutines. This Ice is like, you don't often see it. But the fact that he cares about tags, he cares about combo pieces in hand, he cares about damage for the combo, this makes a lot of sense in this list. So the question is, which one do you do break?
Yeah, I like the Serevna a lot. I think here, the most important thing is probably either the tag or cards in hand. It's hard to sort of evaluate those two across from each other. They're very similar in terms of what's being pressured.
So it looks like we're taking the tag.
I forget exactly what I have in hand. So I'm taking the tag here.
Yeah, so you took the tag and you dodged the damage. So that was, you may draw 2 cards. That does also fire the Daily Business Show. Another really cool interaction. That card's been there since turn 1. And so now, Stargate will go through, though. That does not end the run. Off the top, Degree Mill. A 2 piece of ice and another even bigger piece of ice. So now we have 6 points in archives.
And we're just going to go make them have the Spin Doctor.
Spin Doctor has to be on the table. Again, Code Gate end the run. You could expect. We're checking. So you need like a Magnet, an Enigma, an Authenticator is not going to do it. But just an Ablade of Threat 3 is online. You have the Cleaver.
It says not agenda, though.
Oh, non-agenda. Yeah, here you can install Spin Doctor if you have it in hand, though. Or in archives.
If they'd had Spin Doctor, they would have installed it from the board last turn.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to have got it. There you go. That's game points. 6 points for the bin. It doesn't matter what you shuffle back from Degree Mill. Yeah, I think the only way he has it out is if he draws the Spin Doctor off the Serievna and then installs it there, which, like, pretty niche line.
Yeah, that would have been a great line.
Yeah, that would have been sick. But we do not get to see the full combo of this deck. He's revealing it there. Oh, man, it's such a wild thing. I was walking across the tables throughout the day seeing this thing fire. A lot of people reading cards. And this interaction, I think, is going to get a lot of people unawares because there's not a lot of single tag removal and there's almost no meat damage protection in the entirety of the standard format. So as long as you can glacier up and that sort of aggression you put down, it translates really, really well when the deck has no amazing way to square out the agendas.
And it was just a Bologna in the remote the whole time after all of that.
Yeah, right? Oh, so there's
just stuck there.
There's so few agendas in the game, right? Like you saw 3 of them, one's on the table. There's only 2 more in all of R&D after that. So yeah, the Stargate hits were pretty rich.
I'd say
Awesome. This was, again, just the beginning of day 2. After this, we had another round, and we went to the top cut. Izzy, I know you were just short on a like 0.01 strength of schedule to make the top cut, which is an absolute bummer.
About that, 9th place.
Yeah, I know. That happens. Obviously, there's always a 9th, but it could not have been closer. So hopefully we'll get to see you at more top cut gameplay in the near future on this channel or somewhere else as well.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll be back in Canada for sure.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Eric as well did really well at this event. This is his own brew. It's always really nice to see those, very interesting off the wall stuff. And we had a lot of like weird off meta stuff at CanNats performing well. So shout out to Eric as well. That's it. We only have one more round before we're going to get to the top cut. Izzy, thanks again for joining me. Do you want to shout out QTM again? I'm a huge fan of the podcast.
Yeah. So Querying the Message, we're a testing group. We've been putting results up. Most recently, NZ Nats. We had 3 people make it in the top cut there. And we have a podcast. We talk not just about our competitive play, but about the general experience of being queer playing Netrunner. It's been really fun hosting it.
And you can find a link for that in the show notes in the description and check it out. Again, I'm a huge fan. Thanks so much again, Izzy. We'll be back for the rest or the final game of the Swiss rounds.
Thanks again for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. That was quite a fun game. I'm really excited to see Threat Level Alpha hit a table and actually deliver quite a few lethals across the day, so well done to Eric there. And of course, huge shout out to Izzy, who traveled up to CanNats, let alone Querying the Message, the testing group, the podcast, has been doing great stuff this year, so link to all that in the description. And of course, a huge thank you to not only these names, but more. Again, these are just some of the patrons of the Métropole Grid. A lot of time goes into making these videos look the way that they do, and it just simply would not be happening without the support from our patrons. So thank you so much to all these names here and all the Dailycast patrons. This just wouldn't be happening without the support. Thank you. Of course, we're gonna have a couple more videos on this week. We're not gonna have one this weekend because it is Worlds this weekend. If you're watching this just about the time that this came out. So again, link to that will be in the description. That'll be on Twitch TV, Null Signal, Netrunner. Check out there. We'll be doing some casting from sunny Barcelona. Really stoked. But otherwise, we'll be back next week with some videos. Thanks again for watching. Ciao.